All right, a fireman spots a stranded woman in the window of a 200-foot tall office building. From the point where the fireman is standing, the angle of elevation to the stranded woman is this. Now, this is actually in degrees and minutes. I didn't teach you it. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to scratch this out, and it's just going to be 42 degrees. To the top of the building is 58 degrees. And the question is, how far from the ground is the stranded woman? So we're going to draw this situation and see what's happening here. So first of all, I have the ground. I can do that. I have to draw a fireman. I'm not good at that. So I don't know. What does a hat look like again? Is that what a hat? I don't know. There's my fireman. That doesn't look too bad. It could be worse. There's a building. I can do that. In the building, there's a window, and there's a woman, right? A woman in a building going, help. Look at that. That's actually way better than I thought. Applaud me. And now I'm going to measure some heights. So the whole building, right? So up to I'm going to draw a right triangle to the woman. I know the height of that. It says the window of a 200. So, the whole building, sorry. Let's try that again. Up here. So this is 200 feet. From the point where the fireman is standing. The angle of elevation to the stranded woman is 42. So this angle to the woman is 42. And to the top of the building is 58. So I'm going to draw a separate triangle for 58 here. So if I just drew the triangle for 58, it would be 58 and 200. And the question is this: how far is this in terms of what I'm looking at? So there is one side that's shared by both triangles. So first of all, do you see there's one triangle to the woman and another triangle to the top? And this side here, I'm going to call it Y, is shared by both. So I'm going to solve for this side, Y, and then use it to find the height from the ground to the person. So if I circle it, that is opposite and adjacent. So I'm going to go tangent 58 equals opposite over adjacent, and then I'm going to solve for Y. So I'm going to go 200 divided by tangent 58. And I'm going to type that in my calculator and get an answer. You can use Desmos, or if you don't have a calculator at home, just wait. And so I'm going to round it to about 125. So now I know this right here is 125. Now I'm going to work on the small triangle to find what x is. So again, if I circle 42, again it's opposite over adjacent. It's again tangent. But now the angle for tangent is 42, and opposite, which is x, over, now I know what y is, which is 125. To get x by itself, I multiply by 125. So it ends up being 125 times tangent 42. That's what I'm going to put in the calculator. And I get 112.5. So I'm looking for an answer that's close to 112.5, even though I rounded. So what was the other answer? So if I didn't round, I would have gotten, 124.97387. I would have still got like 112 and something. Well, what's the answer then in terms of it? Did I use a wrong angle? So 58 for 200. I did that. That's tangent. I found that side to be 125. And then it's tangent 42, x over that number, 125. And then I solved it by multiplying it together. So I'm going to say it's b. But I know the answer is 112.5. So I don't know how they rounded. But I know that's the answer. All right, number 14. You're given a point. I know my phone's going off. All right, you're given a point. X is -7, y coordinate is -1, and r is the square root of x squared plus y squared. So that's the square root of 50, and you can leave it as the square root of 50. And then use those to find the exact values of these. So the definition of sine is the y coordinate over the radius. That's -1 over root 50. And then the reciprocal would be negative root 50. This is the x coordinate over the radius. That's -7 over root 50. Or the reciprocal. Tangent theta is the y coordinate over the x coordinate. So that's -1 over -7. Or +1 over 7 and the reciprocal. All right, turn the page. Number 15, cotangent theta is negative and cosine is negative. Name the quadrant and then find the exact value of cosecant. So we're going to draw that all students take calculus. If cotangent's negative, that means I cross out where it's positive. If cosine is negative, then I cross out where it's positive and I'm left with it. This is a quadrant number 2. Then, when I draw this in quadrant number 2, cotangent is x over y. So the x is -24 and the y is 7. To find cosecant, that is the radius over the y coordinate, or hypotenuse over opposite. So I need to find that radius. That's the square root of 7 squared and -24 squared. So that radius or hypotenuse is 25. So the answer is 25 over 7. That's cosecant. 16. Give the reference angle. Now this one is not common because it's over 5. So to find it, we need to subtract either 180, and that's pi in radians, or 360, that's 2 pi. And then have an understanding, is it closer to pi or is it closer to 2 pi? Well, we'll find out here. So let's say I subtract pi to find the reference angle. I need common denominator, so I multiply times 5. So I end up with 8 subtract 5, which is 3 pi over 5. Eight take away 5 is 3. It's 3 pi over 5 is the reference angle. Where is it? Or do I not know how to subtract? This should say 3. I'm going with it. So to find the reference angle, either subtract 180 or 360. If I subtracted 2 pi, what answer would that give me? Maybe this one's too big? No? Let's see. If I subtract 2 pi, get common denominators, I get 10 take away 8. I guess that's 2 pi over 5. All right, so it is 2 pi over 5. 17. What's the exact value of cosecant 5 pi over 4? So the first thing I'm going to do is actually change it to, right now, to degrees. So I'm going to multiply it by 180 over pi, and I get the answer 225. What quadrant is 225 in? We're going to draw it, and it's in quadrant number 3. So there it is in quadrant number 3, and I have my right triangle in quadrant number 3. Subtract 180 to find the reference angle. So that's 45. That means the other one's 45, and I'm going to label it. And no, in quadrant 3, both of them are negative. So to find cosecant, take 45 and its hypotenuse over opposite. So it's root 2 over negative 1 or negative root 2. So the answer is C. All right, tangent 7 pi over 6. I'm going to multiply it by 180 over pi and simplify it. That's 210. Again, what quadrant are we in for 210? We're in quadrant number 3. And if I subtract 180 to find the reference angle, that's 30. And then that means this is 60, and then I can label it accordingly. And again, both the x and the y are both negative. Tangent is the y coordinate over the x. So it's negative over negative. So that's positive 1 over root 3. For me to understand and match the answer, I need to multiply by root 3, top and bottom, and I get root 3 over 3. And there's my answer. 19, negative 2 pi over 3. We're going to multiply it by 180 over pi. So we're changing it to degrees. That's negative 120. In what quadrant is negative 120 in? And again, it's in quadrant number 3 because we're going clockwise. In this case, I'm going to add 180 instead of subtract 180 because it's a negative angle. That gives me 60 as a reference angle. That means this angle's 30. So it's going to be 1 and then 2 and then root 3, and then both of these are negative. Cosine is the x coordinate over the radius. So it's negative 1/2. And I have my answer. All right, last one. And then your homework's done. All right, negative pi over 6. We're going to go times 180 over pi. And we're going to get negative 30. I'm going to add 180. First of all, where is negative 30? So for a negative angle, we go clockwise. Negative 30 is in quadrant number 4, right here. So we're in quadrant number 4. If I add 180, in fact, I wouldn't even have to add 180 because that number is 30 is already a small number. That's the reference angle. So I actually went down 30. That is the reference angle, the acute angle, 30. This is 60. That's 1, 2, and root 3, and 1 is going to be negative. Now secant is either the radius over the x or the hypotenuse over a, whichever one you want to see. So from 30, it'd be 2 over root 3. And if I multiply by root 3, I get the answer 2 root 3 over 3. And that's it. You did your homework. I'm super proud of you. Mr. G Math over and out. Till next time.